5 to order, please. I am a member, but I am not the chair, and so I hope I do Blanca fair duty by chairing this well-attended internally and poorly attended by the public meeting, which means that maybe this will be relatively straightforward, and we'll go right to the executive summary. But are there any public speakers, please?
Hello. Good afternoon. Actually, yes, good afternoon. We have 4 members of the public registered to speak today. As a reminder, we ask that all public speakers adhere to the MTA's rules of conduct and decorum. I would also like to remind our public speakers that in the interest of time and the fairness to all speakers, we limit everyone to 2 minutes. Please be aware that there will be a warning beep to remind you that you have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks. First speaker will be Mr. X, followed by Jess Figueroa.
Well, let's keep going.
Yeah, we can move on to Jess Figueroa.
Can we just confirm our AV is working properly? Okay. Then let's continue, please. Third person?
We can move on to Alita Dupree.
Okay, and our final public speaker?
That will be all.
Oh, that will be it. Okay. Well, if they come up,
We will have Jess Figueroa.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I had a technical issue. My name is Jesse Figueroa, Transit Emperor. I'm also at the VFW District 1 Department of New York. I am a proud advocate in accessible equity public transportation. I give you my gratitude and what you guys do. Transportation is more than a means of travel. It is a lifeline to opportunity, dignity, and community. For veterans, seniors, people with disabilities, and working families, equitable access to transit is essential. Every initiative that advances accessibility, every effort that embraces diversity, strengthens the bond between the MTA and the community it serves. As we close this year and enter the holiday season, I encourage the committee to continue building on its progress with renewed commitment. The holidays remind us of the values of unity, compassion, and respect. On behalf of the veterans community, I extend my heartfelt wishes to each of you and your families with peace, joy, strength in your head. Happy holidays, happy Kwanzaa, and happy Hanukkah. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Jason Anthony.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jason Anthony, the Transit Guru. As we close 2025, it is very important to us to have a diverse MTA because we know that our federal government wants to chop off diversity. But us at the MTA, we want to have more of it. And I know that Lourdes is doing a great job over here at the diversity entity at the MTA. And we hope that for 2026, we hopefully have more diverse force here at the MTA because it reminds me of a book of Esmeralda Santiago called The Melting Pot. So we hopefully for 2026, we have more diverse force, more multilingual force, and keeping being the Empire State and upward. So that's all for this month. I'll see you guys in 2026.
That will complete the public comment session.
okay. Well, thank you to our public speakers for your comments, and we look forward to hearing from you in 2026. We will skip the approval of the minutes and the work plan because we do not have a quorum to move them forward, but I will turn to our Executive Director, and what is your title exactly? Chief Diversity Officer. Lourdes, our Chief Diversity, will take us through the executive summary, which I assume will give us a very good sense of what we've done throughout 2025, and I look forward to hearing from you and your team.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I can get the presentation, please. Thank you. Just want to make a note, we are joined is it still morning? No, it's no longer morning, by this afternoon by members of our senior leadership team within DDCR, as well as our esteemed Chief People Officer, Mercida Ibrek, who will be making a presentation later this morning. We have in front of you our agenda items for today, and we'll jump right into it with an update for everyone on the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. For that, I asked Deputy Chief Christine Norman to share her report.
Sure. As some of you may be aware, on October 3rd, 2025, the U.S. Department of Transportation issued an interim final rule fundamentally restructuring its Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program and the Airport Concessions Programs. MTA has the DBE program. Key changes is the elimination of race and sex presumptions. The interim final rule removes the automatic assumption that certain races and sexes are disadvantaged. So all applicants must now prove individual social and economic disadvantage based on their personal experiences. The MTA will have to undergo a recertification of all current DBEs. As a matter of fact, that means all New York State UCPs. So our 4 New York State partners are Department of Transportation, Niagara Frontier, and New York, New Jersey Port Authority. We run a unified certification program, and we will have to reevaluate all of the DBEs and AC DBEs in the program before we can move forward with reassessing contracts for DBE goals. So currently the program is on hold, and we have to, the rule halts us from setting and counting DBE participation towards program goals until the reevaluation is complete again. The terminology, new terminology, DBE conscious and DBE neutral, will replace the older terms of race and sex conscious and race and sex neutral. That means that when we set goals on a contract, those contracts are DBE conscious. When DBEs win contracts without goals, those are DBE neutral awards to certified firms. Okay. Anything else?
You want to go with questions with each section, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, we can do questions.
I didn't know if you seemed like you were stopping.
Well, those were the key changes.
Okay.
Do you have questions about
Questions.
those changes?
Board member questions?
I'll just make one quick point, as Christine referenced. The MTA is one of 4 certifying entities in the state of New York. All 4 certifying entities will need to undertake a reevaluation of currently certified DBE firms to determine whether they still qualify for DBE certification under the new parameters that Christine referenced. That's a process that the MTA and our partners are going to be undertaking. We're anticipating launching that process in the new year. Once the reevaluation period is concluded, then the MTA, as well as every federally funded agency in the state of New York, will need to undertake a new program evaluation to establish DBE goals for contracts that are issued by the MTA with potential DBE goals. So we're seeing this is going to be a process that we will likely see us take us through most of the upcoming year. In the interim, we cannot establish DBE goals, as Christine referenced, on any current federal contracts that are let during that period, nor can we enforce DBE guidelines on contracts that had been issued with DBE goals. So the program is paused, it is not stopped, but certainly we are looking at trying to move forward with this process, but we have to go in conjunction with the other certifying agencies. So once the entire state of New York is completed, then we can move over to the, move on to the DBE goal setting stage.
So just to be clear, I think you've left this implicit, so I want to make it explicit. So if any contract has any government money, federal money, it has to follow these guidelines. If there's 0 federal money, obviously we wouldn't have to follow this, Or is it because we take any federal money anywhere, everything we do has to be under it? What's the
Yeah.
driving force from the federal side?
Thank you for that question. So the distinction is that the DBE program applies to federally funded contracts. Any contracts that are funded through the state of New York are subject to Article 15A, and we have to continue, and we will continue to apply MWBE goals and SDVOB goals to those contracts. So that program is continuing uninterrupted. It is the federally funded contracts that will see the distinction.
So one more question, then I'll get to Jerry's one. So what percentage of our, pick whatever you want, of the number of contracts, of the dollar of contracts, what percentage is affected by this? Because clearly it's not 100%, because you said that a portion of our non-federal contracts don't apply.
I'll ask for help from my colleagues on the contract compliance
A lot,
team
a
and
little?
Christine, I would say the bulk of our contracts are state-funded or otherwise funded through operations.
Right. It's my understanding that MTA is 25 to 30% federally funded. So that would
On our
be.
capital projects.
Right, on the capital projects. So that would be the percentage of contracts that are impacted.
Okay, Jerry?
Now, this just affects contracts being issued on or after October 3rd, right? I mean, anything that's already been released can keep going, right? I mean,
No,
We're
they
not-
went retroactively.
Yes.
What the interim rule and the final rule ended up doing was neutralizing the DBE certification process. So any contracts, even those that had already been awarded, we were precluded from enforcing the DBE program moving forward.
oh, wow, okay.
Yes, sir.
Just following up on that, how many contracts was that a significant impact of? I'm interested in ones that got caught in between, where you actually awarded, basically said you were going to be awarded, but they hadn't yet been executed, the contracts. And did you have to renegotiate those with the MWB requirements, the DBE requirements?
No renegotiations were required. We just notified the prime contractors that the DBE goal portion
Was eliminated?
and contract compliance piece would not be enforced.
Okay. But you continued through with the process with
Correct.
those contracts? Okay, thank you.
Didn't slow down the progress of any contracts. The projects continued. We discouraged for those contracts that already had DBE firms participating in subcontracting opportunities. We certainly encouraged our prime contractors to continue that work. It really wouldn't make sense for them to get rid of them and find another subcontractor. I'd say that we didn't really see a lot of prime or any prime contractors coming back to us, and Ray can certainly correct me if I'm wrong, coming back to say we're going to remove these DBE firms from our contracts. So the projects have been able to continue uninterrupted.
Okay, continuing.
No other questions? We'll move on. Thank you, Christine. To the next agenda item, which is a quick summary of our Small Business Strategies Council, which is, the committee may recall about a year ago, we established what we call the MWDBE SDVOB Mouthful Advisory Board, elected to change the name to the Small Business Strategies Council, both to reflect the acronyms that we had running as part of the council, but also just make it more reflective of the fact that we are not only working with DBE and MWBE firms, but small businesses in general. We've had 2 meetings to date, incredibly successful and robust discussions with members of the stakeholder community. We have some prime contractors and subcontractors and MTAs, the MTA Edge, which is our newly rebranded small business mentoring program, participants as part of that, and we've been receiving a lot of really great guidance and information and follow-up related to our small business engagement strategies. So that effort will continue. We held 2 meetings in 2025, and we will likely hold the same number of meetings in 2026, but wanted to circle back with the committee just to let them know that this effort is ongoing and really pleased with how it's been moving forward. If we have no other questions, we'll move on to the next portion, which is MTA-wide EEO activities, and I'll ask Deputy Chief Marrow to make that report.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So before I present on our MTA-wide EEO activities, I would like to provide updates to 2 questions that were asked during our last meeting. So the first question, are veterans self-identified? So veteran status is initially self-identified by the individual. A formal verification process is required to confirm veteran status. The process includes submission of a DD Form 214, Certificate of Release or Discharge from Active Duty for EEO purposes. An individual must have received an honorable discharge to qualify as a veteran if the DD-4 214 form reflects a discharge status other than an honorable, the individual does not meet EEO definition of a protected veteran. The second inquiry, while there is a slight increase in the percentage of women in the workforce from a baseline of about 18%, is this change due to a shift in the denominator or to recruitment efforts aimed at attracting women? So in response to that, the data continues to reflect a steady increase in female representation, rising from 18% to 19.5% as of June 30th, 2025. There has been a substantial and ongoing presence to establish relationships with organizations such as Women in Need and the National Council of Negro Women. I will now proceed with reporting on MTA workforce data for Q3. So as we take a look, 74,909 strong as of September 30th, 2025. Our workforce demographics, 20%, 14,658 self-identified as females, 74%, 55,788 self-identified as minorities, 2%, 1,615 veterans, 1%, 793 self-identified as persons with disability. As we look at our hirings and separations, 4,463 new hires and 3,793 separations. There is a net increase of 224 self-identified females and a net increase of 446 self-identified male employees, a net decrease of 79 veterans, and a net decrease of 35 self-identified individuals with disability. So the veteran data reflects individuals verified through eligible veterans, as I mentioned in my previous comments. Workforce data details can be found on pages 46 through 53 of the Diversity Committee book. I will now go into some of our EEO program accomplishments, first starting with our concurrence process. So in the context of EEO program under FTA Circular 4704.1a, concurrence refers to the formal agreement and the review of employment actions such as hiring, promotions, after examining relevant documentation to ensure that the action does not result in discrimination either through disparate treatment or disparate impact. So key areas of review, job postings, applicant pools, and promotion records, completeness and accuracy of supporting documentation, timeliness and consistency of reviews and approvals. So the importance of this process, which it reinforces accountability and compliance with EEO policy, ensures consistency and fairness across departments, and promotes transparency and efficiency in decision-making. Another highlight and accomplishment, our investigations. So we take a look, their backlog. When we look at New York City Transit, 108 cases, 57 closed, and 19 remaining for Q4. Headquarters, 9 cases, 8 closed, 1 remaining for Q4. Metro North Railroad, 16 cases, 100% closed through Q1 through Q3. And Long Island Railroad, 12 cases, 100% closed Q1 through Q3. In addition to professional development for our investigators, successful EO Investigator Dialogue Series, monthly investigator-led presentations, and planning enhanced for 2026. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Please, Eddie.
I'm just looking for a breakdown, maybe offline, for the Metro North statistics for the demographics. Thank you.
I have one question, if you wouldn't mind going back 2 slides. Yeah, thank you. So the MTA moves in small numbers. Our revenues go up and down a couple of percentage points. Our staffing changes a couple of percentage points. So when I see big percentage point changes, I get interested. So we have only 800 people who are disabled and 35 of them left. So that's about 5%. We have 1,600 veterans and 80 left. That's around 5%. That's a big number change in the course of one quarter. So can someone opine as to why? Because if I saw a 5% change in anything like that, and in my business world, I'd say, wow, that's a big change.
So I can follow up with you our next meeting and provide that data.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Continuing, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Evita. Our next report is our 2025-26 MWDBE activity, starting with a report on MTA Edge. If I can ask Deputy Chief Owens.
Sure. Thank you, Lourdes. Good afternoon. I'll start with the training curriculum update. In January 2026, we will be launching simultaneous training for both current program participants as well as newly qualified firms. This milestone will also mark the first training delivered under the McKissick WSP JV. For contract awards update, as of Q3, 13 contracts have been awarded totaling $20.9 million. Next slide, please. And lastly, under MTA Edge, we hosted the first soft launch of the Edge Fellows Alumni Program, marking an exciting milestone in MTA's ongoing commitment to small business success. Designed as the next chapter for firms graduating from the Small Business Development Program, now rebranded as EDGE, the alumni initiative served as a vibrant platform to celebrate accomplishments, spark meaningful connections, and share critical insights that fuel long-term growth. This exclusive gathering provided a selected group of firms with the first look at the MTA Edge Fellows Alumni Program, setting the stage for continued engagement and opportunities. Key highlights included reaffirming MTA's commitment to ensuring alumni firms remain vital contributors to the construction industry, along with in-depth discussions on advanced training resources, strategic business support, and early access to upcoming MTA procurement opportunities. Our next event will be held sometime in Q2, where we have a launch of the entire alumni program. This concludes my presentation.
Questions? Okay, hearing none, moving on. Thank you.
Thank you, Cherie. For our SDVOB and MWBE engagement, Deputy Chief Norman, please.
Sure. SCVOB performance updated. All right. So in the fiscal year 25-26 Q1 and Q2, our participation levels for service-disabled veteran-owned businesses have fallen short of percentage-based targets when compared to the previous quarter. Specifically, out of $693 million in total payments, MTA payments issued during this period, only 5% of those payments were utilized to SDVOB firms. While this represents a relative decline in performance, it is important to note that the actual dollar value of awards to SDVOBs increased by more than $1.5 million. Although the percentage outcome highlights an area for improvement, the growth in dollar value underscores progress in expanding opportunities for veteran-owned businesses. Moving forward, we remain steadfast in our commitment to strengthening SDVOB engagement, enhancing outreach efforts, and identifying meaningful pathways for greater inclusion across MTA contracts. Next. All right. MWBE engagement has shown a strong increase compared to the previous fiscal quarter. Of the more than $1.4 billion in payments issued by the MTA, over 35% were directed to MWBE firms, reflecting significant progress in participation and inclusion. Okay. Next slide. So as mentioned earlier, the DBE program is on pause, so these numbers only represent the first quarter of the semi-annual report. The second annual report is currently on hold due to the recent changes in the DBE program. That report would have been submitted on December 1st, but there is no reporting at this time. So we're looking at data from early 24-25. Okay. Next slide. Lastly, we present an MWBE success story. We like to bring to you information about our non-construction awards and highlight vendors that are actively participating in contracts with the MTA. So Stellar Services, Inc. is an IT consulting firm that's been in business for more than 20 years, providing a comprehensive range of innovative and effective IT solutions. They are a New York State certified MBE, and they have been doing business with the MTA for more than 10 years. Most recently, they were awarded a 5-year contract valued at $12.3 million for a Hexagon EAM cloud hosting services, which will allow the end users to optimize asset performance, streamline work, and gain insights without managing on-premise servers, among other secure features. Stellar Success is another example of how small businesses learn to compete through the discretionary bid process, and they gain an understanding of doing business with the MTA through the discretionary bid process. And then they go on to participate in larger, open, competitive opportunities successfully. So we are really happy of the progress Stellar Services, Inc. has made in doing business with the MTA, and we look forward to delivering to you more stories like this in 2026. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Questions? Hearing none, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Christine. So part of our December work plan included an update to the Diversity Committee on the MTA's recruitment strategies, and we're, as I mentioned earlier, we've been joined this morning by our Chief People Officer, Mercida Ibrick. Mercida, if you could.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be invited. I am really excited to talk about our commitment within the People Department, but also our commitment with the UCR. When we talk about recruitment strategy, it's not just about filling positions, it's about shaping the future of our organization through a very thoughtful, inclusive, and forward-looking talent acquisition process. So up on the screen right now are just a few examples, really a snapshot in time of hard-to-recruit titles that have benefited from some of our outreach strategies. I want to talk a little bit about what hard-to-recruit means, because that term really changes with time. It really changes with the role. It changes with the population. It changes with circumstances. So hard-to-recruit. And I thought I was loud enough. There we go. Just amplified it. All right. So hard to recruit is a term that changes often, and it really is supposed to reflect, again, what the needs are of the organization and what the opportunities are at that point in time. So this is just really just a small snapshot of what that looks like. I also want to really highlight that the MTA's version of hard to recruit is even more challenging than you would find in any other organization. We are at a very interesting point in our history where we are, on a regular basis, delivering really big, once-in-a-lifetime change, right, to our infrastructure, to our city. And with that comes new technologies, new systems, but also it comes with needing to still understand how to navigate legacy systems. And so our employees, when we're looking for candidates, have to be able to show up in both of those spaces, right? Be able to support legacy, but also help us move towards new technology, new systems. And so that's a challenge for any HR organization, and we're no different there. So I just want to highlight that. Can you go to the next slide? Okay, so one thing I always share as Chief People Officer, my favorite part about my job is that we have every job that you can think of here at the MTA, right? Like every job. I talk to many other Chief People Officers, and it's very, in a lot of ways, their jobs are very easy because they're really only recruiting for like 5 titles. Right? We have everything that you can think of here. So we hire bus operators, conductors, but also engineers, doctors, and lawyers. And this diversity in roles presents a real challenge for any HR organization and requires a clear and thoughtful strategy for recruitment. Now, post-transformation, we were very hyper-focused on improving our HR operations, and that meant the business of HR. And so we spent a lot of time in our time-to-hire efforts so that we can hire faster and better. And now that we've done that really well over the last couple of years, we brought down our time to hire to about 100 days. Now we can start to shift gears and really focus on the recruitment strategy itself. And that's a really great place to be in. So now we're taking the first steps to really think about that. Over the last year, what we've done is majority of our organizations have really built partnerships and relationships with their communities over the last decades, right? So some of these partnerships have existed with transit and Long Island Railroad and Metro North, right, and bridge and tunnels. And what we've done is we've taken all of those partnerships and we've combined them into one central place so that we can not only manage them a little closer, but also think about which partnerships are working and which ones aren't working. And right now, in this new centralized form, we have about 75 different partnerships that exist across 3 different platforms. So one platform is our high school and trade schools. One is community partnerships. And then the third category is colleges and universities. Right, so it's not just about like posting, and you'll see on this slide in particular around the media. You always want to be able to post jobs, but you also want to think about pipeline as well, right? Because the pipeline is really where the future is at. So you want to be able to like work a little smarter here and not just harder. And so with all of our partnerships, I will say we've done a couple of great things over the last couple of months. Last month, we launched our first ever National Transportation Career Day in conjunction with APTA. Chris, our board member Chris Leathers was there representing. We were at Transit Tech High School for the entire day. We were working with 300 really smart and eager high school students in New York City who want to know more about how to contribute to the communities that they live in. And we talked about the jobs that were available, and we talked about the skills that needed to be developed, and we're working really closely with the leadership of that school to reevaluate the curriculum so that we can inform it and really make sure that those students come into the workforce ready to work and ready to take on a job at the MTA, which is really, really exciting. But we have more work to do, right? So the first step was really taking all of our partnerships, putting them in one place, and you can go to the next slide, and really evaluating what works and what doesn't. The next step is really putting in place tools to help us evaluate that further, right? So partnerships are wonderful, but if they don't give us the return that we need, then that's a partnership we either have to build up or cut. Right, and so those are the conversations that we're currently having, and that takes a little bit of work. But I also want to, highlight some of the good that we've done as well. So some of our partnerships, our biggest one is with CUNY. So we have a great internship program with CUNY. CUNY has 25 universities in New York City, that really represent the diversity of New York City. We have about 720 interns with us this year, right? So year to date, and we've converted about 11% of that population to full-time employment, right? So again, we could be out there posting our jobs, and we can be, hitting the ground, hitting the pavement, going to events and doing all that. We're definitely doing all that work, but we're also trying to lay the groundwork for really strong pipelines that will continue to give us the returns that we need to see year to year. So 11% is great. We want to see that get a little higher, and I think we're doing a good job of evaluating those partnerships day to day. And then I just also want to share just one last thing. I'm happy to be here and talking a little bit. I really think we're just touching the surface, right, on recruitment. But this is not a static strategy, right? We have to continue to think about, what works, what doesn't work. It's a living framework, one that really is going to grow with feedback, with involvement from the workforce, and from it has to also reflect the values that we hold as an organization. So we'll continue to work really closely with DDCR, Lourdes and her team, to continue to evaluate that and make sure that we are on the right trend and that we're hitting all of those tracks. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I like what you said. It's a really good point that it's a great job because we have basically every job you can imagine. Physical job, desk jobs, cybersecurity to, I can't believe we still use the phrase, but gang members, out in the workforce.
It's like a microcosm, yeah.
It is. It's a really
Mm-hmm.
good point, and thank you for saying that. I think it adds to the value of what we're all delivering, so thank you for that. Questions? Jerry?
Just for clarity, what's unpaid media? Is that in-house, the MTA's?
Yeah, totally. So we just started in May, and if you've taken the subway recently, hopefully you heard it, we just started in May having the subway announcements. MTA is hiring. You'll also see that in printed media, on our buses, and so it's all over the place. So it's really taking advantage of the network that we have and making sure that we're using it to the best of our ability. So that's very new for us, and in fact, I think we kind of had to slow it down a little bit because we were having so much traffic come to our MTA careers page, but we'll be picking that back up again.
Jerry, in the business world, in the media industry, we call that actually owned media because you own it, versus paid media where you pay someone, and earned media when they write a story about you, like on Q. Q's story would be called earned media. So if everyone, I'm sure everyone read it. Go
So
ahead,
then
Jerry.
Grand Central TV is something we have actually in Grand Central
Yep.
Station, like, okay.
Yep. So we're trying to think about how do we leverage our owned media a little better, because we see so many customers every day, and that's who our best employees are, our actual customers. So, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
Chris.
Yes, thank you for that presentation. I had the opportunity to attend the event at Transit Tech High School, and I was very much impressed. A lot of the scholars were engaged, and the presenters were well prepared. And so we had another event that day at St. Albans Station in Queens, and I just stayed at the career day because I was having a good time. So
Yeah.
keep up the good work. If I can make a suggestion,
Yep.
in future events, if the other agencies can be represented, as well, so that the scholars can see that it's not just New York City Transit, but all MTA agencies, that they can have an opportunity at a career. So
I think you're absolutely right. Thank you for that feedback.
Thanks, Chris. Any other questions? Eddie.
Just a comment. The presentation was good. It was informative about the partnerships that are being created that I didn't know about in
Yep.
Colleges and high schools. Offline, if I could just get a little bit more details
Absolutely.
of a list of the high schools and colleges. I think it's very important to the future of the MTA, Metro North, Long Island Railroad. So happy to hear it. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Eddie. Back over to you, CDO.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Marcita, thank you for your presentation. And just again, a note and a note of thanks publicly to Marcita and her team that have just consistently been very supportive, very open to the conversations and the dialogue, both looking at where there is some overlap within our respective focus around diversity and inclusion and equity issues, and how that interacts and relates with the people department and their needs. And we're really looking forward in 2026 to continuing that dialogue and seeing some really amazing successes. So thank you for your partnership in that, Marcita. Our last agenda item is just a summary of some events. We've been really busy out there getting the word out about MTA contracting opportunities. We hosted a Meet the Manufacturers event on October 30th, where we invited 9 rolling stock manufacturers, all of which have either won bids or will be submitting for bids for the $15 billion in rolling stock purchases that the MTA will be making as part of our capital plan. We had them come in to talk about their opportunities, and we invited a curated set of MWBE and SDVOB firms that are within the supply chain for our rolling stock. We wanted to make those introductions, give them an opportunity to talk to the primes and hear about where there are some contracting opportunities. It was, I think, a really incredibly successful event. We had about 100 attendees, in addition to the 9 prime manufacturers, and the MTA's rolling stock team led by Lou Montanti, who's here on the screen, as well as Christine Norman and her outreach team just really did a phenomenal job of getting that information out so that we can make sure that we're increasing access to these opportunities. On November 7th, we also held a Meet the Primes event where we invited 15 prime contractors, all of whom are performing on design build projects. Again, some that have already been awarded, some that they are anticipating engaging on, to talk about our upcoming capital projects and where there are some MWBE opportunities. And this event was really fantastic. In fact, we had the opportunity to showcase some of our more successful firms. We had an SDVOB firm speak to the group about their work and their opportunities. We had a couple of MWBE firms also make presentations about their capacity to perform on contracts. And again, want to thank Christine Norman and her team for putting on this amazing event. Incredibly successful. Again, getting the word out to make sure that small businesses throughout New York understand that there are contracting opportunities with the MTA. And then lastly, the team went to Albany for the New York State MWBE Forum that was held On November 17th, there were about 400 attendees. We did a panel presentation on MTA, how to find MTA contracting opportunities. We also spoke to some of the opportunities that are going to be coming up. We marketed the MTA Edge program as well as our upcoming procurement page, MTA Vision Ahead is what it's called. Right, our Vision Ahead page, where we provide information on upcoming opportunities by quarter so that people are aware of not just what's on the street right now, but where we see opportunities coming up over the next few quarters. Again, an incredibly successful event. And then last but not least, we have, as always, our engagement with our employee resource groups. I'll ask our Director, Barbara Cockfield, and our Deputy Chief Marrow to make that report.
Good morning. Our employee resource groups are voluntary, employee-led, and driven organizations. They foster a diverse and inclusive workplace aligned with all of our core values and strategic priorities at the MTA. This quarter, we had a lot of events and initiatives that happened. They're on the screen for you, but I'll just go through them quickly. All Generational, one of the 10 employee resource groups that we have, they had a conversation about generational perspectives. To celebrate Intergenerational Month, the All Generational ERG invited John Kaufman, Chief of Strategic Initiatives and Chief Strategic Officer, and Frank Joseph, Chief of Staff, Officer of the President, to share their generational perspectives on their professional journeys. On September 21st, Begin had they participated in the 56th Annual African American Day Parade. The African American Day Parade focuses on 5 key pillars that strengthen the community: business, education, health, politics, government, arts, and culture. Each year, the parade highlights one of these sectors, and this year it was education as our #1 priority. Also in September, Begin September Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and Begin hosted a powerful discussion on suicide prevention through the lens of both a young adult and a parent navigating mental health support systems. They were joined by Victor Armstrong, the Vice President of Health Equity and Engagement, who shared valuable perspectives and resources on this critical topic, as well as the MTA's Employee Assistance Program. In October, Latinos and Friends hosted Como Yo, which is a 4-week program where employees participated in a virtual orientation followed by weekly Spanish lessons. Each week included a 30 to 60-minute beginner to intermediate Spanish lesson and a 30-minute conversational Spanish segment. And this was just to help employees to learn Spanish so that they can work with our community and our customers. All Generational took part in Metro North Railroad's New Haven Open House. They had an all-day exhibition showcasing the efforts and creativity of the All Generational Employee Resource Group, where they had completed train modules which were on display throughout the day and made accessible by viewing by current and prospective MTA employees. Pride Express had Jeopardy, which was Pride Express hosted an inclusive Jeopardy-style trivia game highlighting transportation topics and contributions of the LGBTQ+ community. The event fostered understanding and celebrated diversity, and it was in the MTA subway announcer Bernie Wigenblast served as the host. In October, Latinos and Friends hosted Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. It was a hybrid event, and it was designed to bring together employees and executives to recognize and honor Hispanic culture and traditions that represent a significant part of the organization's diversity. Also in October, the EWT organized an agency-wide 5K walk for American Cancer Society, making strides against breast cancer. They raised over $10,000. And then Begin had a dialogue series which spotlights MTA agency presidents. It was the second session that they had, which featured the Long Island Railroad President Rob Free, where he discussed his leadership style, strategic priorities, and the legacy he aims to leave behind. In November, Abilities hosted Voices of Care, which was honoring caregivers during National Caregiver Awareness Month. In honor of this month, the employee resource group Abilities hosted Voices of Care, and it was an event that gave employees the opportunity to share their personal experiences as caregivers. The Veterans Employee Resource Group celebrated Veterans Day. They hosted an event here at the MTA, and the event themed Service to Our Nation. It began with the MTA PD Color Guard procession and a Pledge of Allegiance led by the MTA Pipe and Drums. On Veterans Day, they participated in the Veteran Days Parade. And lastly, All Generational Toy and Code Drive. They do this every year. This is the 5th year that they're doing it, and they are collecting toys and codes to benefit Henry Street Settlement. And the Toy and Code Drive will end tomorrow and be taken to Henry Street Settlement. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Any questions from the committee?
Yes, in the future, would certain MTA board members be able to attend some of these events, like the one that you mentioned about the rolling stock? I would have been very interested to sit in on that one. And you had the one about the prime contractors. I think several members from our C&D committee might have liked to have sat in on that, just to get an idea of what kind of people are working for us and what their firms are and how they're represented.
Absolutely. I apologize for the oversight. We'll make sure that that doesn't happen moving forward. We'll make sure the invitations are extended to all.
Thank you. I
board
really
members.
appreciate that, because some of those seem really, really interesting. And I think there'd be valuable information for some of the board members.
Will do. Thank you.
Anything else?
We have no other questions. Thank you, Barbara, for the presentation. Just a quick best wishes from the entire DDCR team to all the board members for happy holidays and a new year. Mr. Chairman, our report is concluded.
Thank you. I just want to say that, A, obviously, thank you for your work. I do think, B, when you see what's happened at the federal level over the course of this almost 12 months, you probably do question your work, and you should not question your work. Your job is to expand and ensure opportunity for all. The state is on the side of right. The federal government is on the side of wrong. And I want to thank you for all what you do. So with that, I ask for a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Second. Okay, meeting's adjourned, and we'll see you in 2026.
Thank you, everyone.